and I'm from PMO Income Dev Center team. So first, let's look at what budget is and what budget management is. So the simplest definition to project budget is just a financial plan that includes an estimate of everything that needs to be done to achieve the project's goal. This cost includes both direct costs, indirect costs, contingencies, and reserves. Now, what is a direct cost? Direct costs are costs that are directly associated to the project. And example of this cost includes labor costs and cost for materials. We also have what is called indirect costs. These are costs that are not directly associated with the project. And examples are salaries for administrative workers, rents, and payments for utility. We also have what is known as contingencies. So contingencies is an extra money that is added to the budget to account for known risk. So during project planning, there is a document that is created, which is called the risk management plan. So this risk management plan includes all the identified risks that could occur during the course of execution, and also plans to mitigate them just in case it happens. So these contingencies are extra money that is being added to the budget to account for this known risk. And then we also have what is called reserves. So reserves are also extra money that is added to the budget to account for unforeseen risks. So risks that we are unable to identify during the planning phase, we didn't plan for it to happen. So reserves are the extra monies to account for such risk. Now, let's look at what budget management is. So budget management is the process of planning, monitoring, and controlling financial resources to achieve the project's goal. And why does it matter? It matters because it ensures financial efficiency, prevents overspending, and aligns with the project objectives. Now let's look at the importance of budget management. We have so many importance of budget management, but I have a few written here. So one is to prevent cost overruns. We all can agree with me that if you plan on, say you want to go to the market and then you say you have, let's say 20,000 as your budget, and if you do not have a list or a plan, you might end up spending more than what you budgeted. So that's why it's very important to have a budget plan. And number two is that it enhances resource allocation. Yeah. So once you've already known like the goal of the project, and then from that goal, you're able to identify resources or things that or tasks that needs to be completed to be able to reach those goals. You'll be able to allocate your financial resources based on the tasks that are needed to be completed to be able to achieve those goals. Number three, we have to improve decision making. So it provides financial insights for better planning. And number four is to ensure stakeholders confidence. Yeah, if you have a well-detailed budget plan, it's lets the stakeholders know that you're somebody that could be held accountable, and that would boost the confidence that they have in you. And the last but not the least here is it helps in risk mitigation. So it allows for early identification and handling on financial risks. So the next thing we'll be looking at is the role of a project manager in budgeting. So the project manager plays a crucial role in budgeting, and one of those things is to establishes and define project goals. So it is the duty of a project manager to establish the SMART goal of that project, what is it that we are planning to achieve by the end of the project? What is it that we want to achieve? So it is the duty of the project manager to actually define the financial goals and also allocate resources efficiently. So why when the project manager has been able to identify the goal of the project, it's also his or her duty to be able to allocate resources based on what we intend to achieve by the end of the project. And then the last but not the least is to monitor expenses and ensure adherence to budget constraints. So during the execution phase of the project, the project manager is the one to actually monitor that budget to ensure that we do not overspend, right? So we look at the different budget estimation techniques. So the major estimation techniques includes the bottom-up estimation, 1, 2, top-down estimation, 3, the analogous estimation, and the last, the parametric estimation. Now we are going to look at each of these estimation techniques to understand what it is and how it is used. So first off is the bottom-up estimation technique. Now, let me use an example to explain what this is. So for instance, let's say for instance that you have a project which is to, what will I use now? Something that everybody will understand. Yeah, which is to prepare stew, right? And then you start listing out your ingredients. You say, okay, to make this stew now, I need tomatoes, onion, crayfish, ground oil, etc. And then you say, okay, for tomatoes, I'm going to use 2,000 naira to buy tomato. For crayfish, 1,000 naira. For onion, 1,000 naira. That's 4,000. So at the end of the day now, you have the total of, say, 10,000 naira. So what you've just done now is bottom-up estimation technique because you started from the list of the things you need, which are the tax, and then you're able to sum it up to the total. So that method is known as the bottom-up estimation technique. Now we have the top-down estimation. So what happened, an example of this is, say, anybody that is in charge of the household gives you, say, 20,000 naira to make stew, right? So you now as a project manager now start, okay, my budget, the budget that was given to me is 20,000 naira. You now start allocating this budget based on what is needed or the ingredient that is needed to actually achieve your goal, which is to prepare stew. So you can now start by saying, okay, from this 20,000 naira now, I'm going to allocate 5,000 naira for tomato, 3,000 naira for onion, etc. So what you're doing is the top-down estimation technique. So we have the analogous estimation technique. So this one deals with experts' judgments and also what's it called? Okay, expert judgment. So what's that one involved is, say you want to carry out a project. I'm still going to use this to so a project to make stew, and then you go to meet your mom, for example, and she's the one like in charge of always cooking and always going to the market to get ingredients to prepare food. You go to meet her and ask her, please, okay, how much do I need to actually achieve this goal, which is to make stew? And then um she tells you, say, 10,000 naira. So she's an expert and you're going to work with that 10,000 naira budget she gave to you. What you've done is that you used expert judgment to have a budget or to create a budget, right? And we also have the parametric estimation technique. Another one is the parametric estimation technique. So this one deals with mathematical models, right? So say now you have a project to sew a full-length trouser, right? And you know that the price of 1 yard of material, so this trouser is say 2,000 naira. And now you know what it actually takes to sew a full length trouser is, say, 3 yards. Now you're going to use the cost of 1 yard and then you multiply it by how many yards you're going to need to actually sew a full-length trouser. So this method or this technique is known as the parametric technique, right? So under this, I forgot to mention, under this analogous technique, there's also the use of historical data. So that historical data, an example is using the stew again now. You want to prepare stew and say maybe your brother or your sister has carried out the project of cooking stew before, and he or she has this written somewhere, documented somewhere, that to prepare stew you would need 10,000 naira, and then you go to pick it up from there. So you're using a budget of a similar project that has already been carried out. So the method you're using at that point is the historical data, which is under the analogous estimation technique. So common budgeting challenges and their solution. I have three written here. One of them is scope creep. And we also have unforeseen costs. And the last is inaccurate estimates. Now, what is scope creep? I'm going to use an example so we would understand it. I don't just want to explain or define it. So scope creep is, for example, now you have a project to construct, let's say, to construct one bungalow, right? And now you've taken into consideration everything that is needed to actually construct this bungalow, and then you've drafted your budget and you've done everything, and then you present it to the stakeholders and they approve it, right? And now, during the execution phase of the project, a stakeholder or the person that owns the house you're constructing comes in to say, oh, I don't just want a bungalow again. I want us to add a security house by the side. Now, this thing is not what is included or is not included in your initial plan. The stakeholder is adding extra feature. So what this thing is going to do is that it's going to affect, it's either affects the time or it affects the cost. Is either going to cost you to increase the money or increase the money that is needed for the project, because now you're adding an extra something that was not initially planned, or it's going to cost you extra time. Say if the project was agreed upon that is going to end in 1 month, and then you're adding something new again, it might take more than 1 month to actually complete the project now. So what is the solution to this scope creep? As a project manager, it's important for you to analyze the change that the stakeholder is bringing in, and then you present to the stakeholder a document to tell he or she, okay, this is what is going to, you adding this change, this is what is going to result to. Are you ready to maybe increase the budget that is needed for the project to be completed, or are you ready to give us extra time to actually complete this project because you're adding something new now to the scope? And then we have unforeseen costs. So unforeseen costs are costs that you did not actually plan on at the initial or at the planning phase of the project. So take for instance, you are constructing a house now again, and then you've budgeted everything, you've taken into account of everything that is going to need, every single levy that needs to be paid to be able to complete this house. And then during the execution phase of the project, the government puts in another levy to say you have to pay this certain amount of money. Now, this is an unforeseen cost because you would have to pay that cost. And you don't have a choice, because if you don't, they might stop you from actually carrying out your project. So you need to pay. So this type of cost is known as unforeseen cost because it was not identified during the planning stage of the project. So how do we resolve this? The solution to this is to add what is known as reserves. I've explained what reserves are. So is to add it when you've gotten the total or your budget, you should add an extra money to account for this unforeseen costs. And that extra money is known as reserve. Now, inaccurate estimate. So overestimating or underestimating is an issue. So say for instance now you started the project, you gave us a budget, right? And the stakeholders approved the budget and started and told you to okay, start working with this. And then at the end of the project, you are realizing that we spent way less than what you actually said the budget was. right? Now you've cost the stakeholders a lot, because that money that you just tied down there could have been used for another thing that would generate extra income, but you just tied it down, right? That does not make you a good project manager. And then in the case where you underestimated, you told somebody that what they need to actually build a house is say 5 million. And then during the execution phase, you're coming back to say, oh, you forgot to add this or you forgot to add that. That does not make you an actual project manager. So how do you resolve this as a project manager? The best technique to actually use is the the bottom-up estimation technique, because it takes into details little, it breaks it down and takes into details little costs that you can notice during the course of your execution. Now, tools and software for budget management. We have Microsoft Projects, Smartsheets, Excel and Google Sheets, and Asana. Best practices for budget control. One is track expenses regularly to detect budget deviations early. Two, conduct frequent budget reviews to ensure financial health. Three, communicate financial updates to stakeholders transparently. Now, before I ask my question, do we have any question? Yes, Abubakar, I see your hand is up.
Thank you for the presentation. It's very enlightening. I'm pointing back to the challenges people face. I just wanted to point out the scope creep. With the example you gave, like in the construction of a bungalow, so maybe the client felt like he just wants to have a security post there. So what if the initial plan was to have a security post, then the client would say, no, I don't need the security post. Maybe he just understood that there are actually security guards already established in the neighborhood. So he felt like, I don't want the security post. Will that be considered as a scope creep, or is it something like an advantage or what?
It's actually, I'll say it's not a scope creep. Scope creep is something, whatever that is going to either increase the already laid out budget or increase the time that was actually agreed upon. So it affects one of the triple constraints, which is the scope, time, or what's it called, cost of budget.
Okay, all right, thank you. I have another question. Sorry, the estimation. Which one would you say is the best one for one to like make use of? Is it the top down or bottom up or the analogous or the parametric?
Okay, the best is actually the top-down estimation technique. Sorry, the bottom-up. So because that one like it includes like it starts before it's actually give you a budget, you will have to list out every single task that needs to be completed to achieve the goal of the project, and then assign a cost or estimate the cost for each of them. You get, so that one, it makes it more accurate. It's not like 100% accurate, because things can happen, right? But at least it's 90% accurate. So it's better compared to the others. Somto.
All right, thank you.
All right.
My question is almost similar to Abubakar's. I was asking, in that example you gave about the bungalow, what if person decides, okay, I don't want the security house, but maybe it was supposed to be a bungalow, a security house, and a shed. And the person is like, okay, I don't want the security house. I just want a bigger shed. Would that also cause a scope creep?
Yeah, it's very possible that it could cause a scope creep, because now you're wanting something bigger. It changes the already agreed upon, or it changes the scope. There's a change to the scope because we don't know. So that your duty as a project manager is actually go back to analyze to see, okay, will this thing actually cost an increase in the budget, or will it cost us like extra time? You have to analyze, look at it from, okay, is it going to benefit us or is it going to cost harm? And then you would now have to present it to your stakeholder to say, okay, if you're going to expand this shed, or I can't remember what you called it, but if you're going to expand it, this is what is going to happen. And then if they're comfortable with it, or if they agree to it, they can approve it, and then you continue. with your project.
Okay, thank you.
All right. So let's move over to the questions. The question 1 says, which of the following budget estimation techniques involve detailed estimation at the tax level? Somto.
I think it's the bottom-up estimation.
Yes, you're correct. So the last one says, what is a project budget? Can anyone help us? Okay, I'm seeing 2 hands. Okay, so sorry, Abubakar.
I believe it would be B because it is an estimated financial plan. So for project cost.
Yes, you're right. All right, thank you, everyone. We've come to the end of my presentation. I think we'll have Halima to present today. Victoria.
Yes, thank you so much, Drew. Halima, are you actually ready for us?
I don't think I can present because my stand-up morning meeting is in a few minutes.
Yes, so yeah, that's good. So I'll let you know when next. Today, the next case is on Tuesday, so I'll let you know when to present.
All right.
But your slides, I didn't see anything on the channel. I didn't read it.
I submitted it. It has been approved.
Okay. All right. So
Thank you.
good. Thank you so much, Idimachuku. Thank you everyone for joining. Do have a productive day.